But hey, everybody, so good to see everybody here, and really excited to continue our conversation about both the scientific evidence for creation as well as our continued discussion about historical evidence for Christ. I think there's at some point we all have to make a decision. We have to, if we were in a courtroom, at some point we would have to come up with a decision or reach a verdict. And so we've been talking about different evidence for Christ. And so today we're going to talk about, again, making those decisions. When do we, if we had to reach a verdict, where would we be? And so I know we've had some conversations about the things that we know and what we believe. And even with all of the things that we're talking about, there is always an element of faith. So, some things we have to believe on blind faith just because we don't know and we don't know enough. We don't have the mind of God. God says that our thoughts are not his thoughts, our ways are not his ways. There are going to be things that no matter how hard we try, we are not going to be able to get inside of the mind of God and truly understand why things happen the way they do. So there are still things that we have to accept by faith. But I believe there are a lot of things that God is allowing us to see, not only through his word, but through his creation as well. And so that's one of the amazing things I believe about this study is this opportunity, that's the word I'm looking for, to really be able to look at the creation itself and how God is allowing us to see him in science that he created. And that's the amazing thing. As I had this conversation, I believe it's been so long, people have always been told that science is where it's at, that if you can replicate it scientifically, it can be believed. But let me say this, there are a lot of things that we knew scientifically. We knew them scientifically. And then because of new information, we now know things differently. And so that's the thing that I want us to always remember. And I've always had this argument with people that that what we know is based on the information we have at our disposal. And the more information we have, the better our knowledge base becomes. So even things that we knew scientifically 30, 40, 50 years ago, we know things differently today because of the ability with more complex machines that we're using for discovery. All of those things change what we know. So we have to be willing and able to understand that even in the hard sciences, things that scientists knew in the past, we know things different today. And that's really what I believe we're experiencing now as we're in these scientific searches for God. And I've argued this years ago, even before I knew about some of these apologetic, and we can talk about that word a little bit too. But as we're looking at all of these things that we're talking about now, even before I knew about this stuff, I always argued that if we put as much energy into proving creation as we put into trying to prove evolution, I believe we would find the answer faster. And today, I believe we're very, very close to being there. And I think the things that we are seeing today are a testament to that. When the first time I watched this video, and it was several sections in this video that really excited me. That particular section of this video was one of the most exciting sections for me. And I'll tell you why. I hope you can see or feel the excitement in me just to hear it again, that the way God designed the universe made it so that we could find him in science. We could find him, perfectly positioned for exploration, all of these things. And like the one guy said it didn't have to be that way. And so I got extremely excited when I saw this section after everything that I watched already prior to that. And then we already looked at that section that they're going into now on biological machines. And that was another one that really excited me because of that term that we learned before. If you hadn't written it down, you can write it down now, irreducible complexity, where Darwin said, if you find anything in the universe or in the galaxy on the planet Earth that reduced to its least complex form, that's what irreducible means. It cannot be reduced anymore. If you get to a place you find anything that reduced to its least complex form is anything more than a single-celled organism, then his theory of evolution does not hold up. And I told you all, and we saw it in that section of the video, that they found that in the motor of the cell. I think it was 41 different parts that could not be reduced any further or the motor doesn't work. And so Darwin's theory doesn't hold, his own theory, the one that all of these things that we have worked on relative to evolution is built on. He said, because I believe he didn't have access to all of the information we have today, I believe he was probably in an honest attempt to get to whatever truth he could, and I use truth with my question marks or my ellipses around them on purpose, because truth is created based on the data. New data creates new truths. In history, I tell people, truth is created based on the facts. You learn new sets of facts. It creates new truths. And so we have to be, I believe, flexible enough in what we know to be open to knowing more, which then changes what we knew. And so there are things that people knew decades ago that now that we have new, more information through more complex machines, other things in discovery that have helped us to come to this understanding that our universe, one, is so incredibly complex that it could not, the chances that this complexity is going to be found through some cosmic accident is really hard to believe. And so when I got to this section of the video, when it talked about, it just seems like God has perfectly positioned us in the galaxy, as large as it is and ever expanding as it is, so that we would be in the perfect place for expansion. And then the earlier piece about all that it takes, and how he was saying in his atheistic worldview, he just thought this was just an ordinary thing, that we would have millions of galaxies just like this. And as he learned more and more, that this is not a cosmic accident, and all of the things that would need to happen in order to have a habitable space with as much habitation as we have on Earth, it doesn't happen by accident. You heard the chances, I forgot the number, 1/1000th of a trillionth, I think is what he said, chance that we would have that. And so, even as large as the universe is, what would be the chances that there would be millions of universes like this all over the galaxy? And what he's saying is that the chances are incredibly slim. I mean, I can't even, based on that fraction, I can't even begin to explain how slim those chances are. But there is this search, as I said before, I believe there are people who have a vested interest in pushing the narrative that we are normal. There are millions of galaxies, because what it helps them, I believe, to argument to make is that there is no God. Because I believe that if we come to a realization, to use the scientific term, that there is an intelligent designer to the universe, there is an intelligent designer to the human existence, then the following question has to be, then what is that designer's purpose for us? Every inventor invents with a purpose. So if he's created us, then what was the purpose of creation? And by arguing that there is no God and that this did all come from a cosmic accident we call Big Bang, and evolution from single-celled organisms just brought into motion through some cosmic accident, then I could argue there is no God, then I become a God unto myself. And so I believe that's why there's this vested interest to make this argument of millions of galaxies, millions of universes, millions of planets just like this one all over the galaxy, because as we saw in the previous section of this, and I played just a tiny bit of it, like this machine just constantly pushing out universes, and if it was just every universe had a different set of dials, then yeah, every now and then the dials will be just right and the universe will be habitable. But then, as he said, we have to ask the question, then who created the machine that put out the universes? And it brings us right back to the cycle of then what then becomes the purpose of the creator of that machine. And so, so this particular section was an extremely exciting section to me, because what it said to me was that through all of these years, and I had done many years in college having to write about this, not having all the answers, still believing the answers were out there, and that if we invested energy and effort and money and time and resources into looking for it the way we were looking for the missing links to evolution, that we find it. And here we are. I believe there's more and more out there. And I just gave you Lee Strobel's book, and then we watched the video of one of the other professors, but there's a lot of data and a lot of information out there that is engaging these conversations today. And so I became incredibly excited when I got to that point, because to me, it looks like God is allowing us to see him through everything he's created today. And so that's an extremely exciting proposition